Welcome to part 5 of polishing your pitch. This has been such a pleasure to take you through this online course, and we're not finished yet. We've just spoken about practicing your pitch. We're now going into a couple more areas that are really going to help you to polish that pitch and make that impact that's going to hopefully get you to success, whatever it is that you're aiming to achieve in your pitch. And this part is all around tailoring your pitch. Depending on who you're pitching to, depends on what content and what angle and approach you will take for your pitch. And I often compare it to CVs. Imagine, if you can, applying for a job and submitting your CV. The most successful CVs will be the one that are tailored to the role as well as the organization that's being applied to. And it's the same with your pitch. The most successful ones will be the ones that are tailored to the investor you're meeting, the person that you're in front of, to really make sure that your message lands and you hopefully get what you want from that pitch. So how do you do it, and what areas of your pitch can you tailor? Because understandably, you don't want to be developing a whole new pitch for every opportunity and for every meeting that you have. But there are some key areas that will help to get that tailored approach across and to make it feel like it is a much more bespoke pitch for the person that you are in front of. So let's have a look at what those areas might be. The first thing to think about is your hook. Understandably, that first introduction, once you're in that pitch mode, you've said hello, you've made your pleasantries, you manage their expectations by saying, we're going to dive into a 10-minute pitch now. This is if you're pitching live, don't forget. What's your hook? What's the first thing you're going to be saying or inviting them to engage with? And there's lots of different ways that you can hook your audience. We've spoken about stories and that importance of weaving a story into your pitch. It might be that as part of that, you kick off with a question. It might be that you want to bring some visuals to life and really explain this impactful image that you've got on that screen. It might be that you go with the industry approach, and maybe there's some statistics that you then bring to life in different ways moving forward. But depending on who you're pitching to, the hook will change. Are they in your industry, or might they need some education on what's happening in the industry at the moment? Is it that they're a potential board member, or are they an investor? What key details are they going to be looking for, and what approach might be most appropriate to take with them as well? Similarly, in the version that you send to people, you can still tailor that opening, you can still tailor that introduction. It's just a written format rather than you being there to explain it as well. So that's your opening and your hook. That's a really easy way to tailor your pitch, is that very first impression that you make when you get started. Next up are thinking about examples or case studies, especially to do with your product or service, whether you're bringing characters in to explain how it works, or if you're using examples and case studies to show the impact of what it is your product or service can do. So try to tailor those to the person that you're in front of. Could you make it as relatable as possible to them? Thinking about what they might have experienced, thinking about what their situation might be, what's going to be most relatable to them, and trying to align that will help to build that rapport that you're aiming for. Another area to think about tailoring is your call to action. This one sounds really obvious, but I've seen it before, where a call to action's on a slide that isn't relevant to the situation or the pitch that they're delivering. So your call to action, understandably, for an investor is going to be, how much are you raising? What are you looking for? And that call to action is for them to invest in your business and take that conversation forward. That's going to be very different if you're pitching for someone to come on board as an advisor. It's going to be very different if it's going to be trying to get someone to come on board as a founding member or a team member. So really tailoring that end call to action. And often I get asked, do we need a call to action? Don't miss that opportunity at the end of your pitch to really focus on what you can get from it, because that's going to help continue that conversation as well. And if you're sending the pitch, it's going to help leave that lasting impression of what it is that you're looking for. Maybe this person might have contacts for potential customers of yours. So if that's the case, you could ask them to introduce you to these types of people. We're looking for introductions to HR professionals in the medical industry, as an example. The more specific you can get, the better. And that's going to help with that lasting impression and that obviously tailoring, because it makes sense for that person why they're looking at your pitch or listening to you in the first place. And then finally, the structure of your content. So you'll have all of your different building blocks. Hopefully you'll have this sort of master pitch and master slide deck with everything that you could possibly need as part of your pitches. And you're picking and choosing which ones are going to be most relevant to the meeting or the pitch that you're delivering. So the structure of the content may change depending on who you're speaking to. I mentioned earlier when we spoke about key building blocks, traction might come quite high. If you're trying to show that credibility, you've got some great traction and interest in the business, that might come sooner. Or it might be that you want to establish your own and your team's credibility by bringing your team slide up. It might be that you start with painting the picture of the market and the industry, then you go into the problem that you're solving. It really depends on trying to anticipate what the expectations are of the person you're pitching to, but what you feel will land the most. And there's a little activity to do when you're thinking about how you might tailor the content as well. And it involves doing a little bit of research and giving some thought to who the person is or who the audience are that you are delivering your pitch to. And this is to map their train. So there's 5 key areas here that you can just start to think about when you're thinking about who it is that you're pitching to. First up, what type of person are they? And this could be everything from literally the type of person they are to where they live, what their background might be, just to start to paint a picture. And you can get some of this information virtually. They might have written articles, have biographies, their LinkedIn profiles, social media, everything that's going to be accessible to you. The next thing to think about is what role do they play? Specifically, are they an investor? Do they work for their own business? What position do they have within an organization? How might they be able to help you? So what role is it they're playing? Just so it's clear in your mind who you're speaking to and what position they take up. The A is then around their aims. What are they aiming to achieve? What do they want? So by investing in you as an investor, what are they aiming for? And you can help tailor your message around that by potentially coming on board as an advisor, a team member, a board member, for example. What is their aim? What do they want to achieve? And you can try to scope some of this out on a call itself, but you can anticipate this and just try to think about what that might look like. The I is then their interests. A little bit of a curveball one here, but if you can try to gauge what they're interested in, and this could be outside of a professional sense, but something that might help you to build that rapport, especially if you are jumping on a call with them, you're meeting them for a coffee or for a more formal chat. Is there anything that you can use to break the ice? Have you noticed that they posted anything recently? Have they got anything on their biographies that suggests they're interested in different areas? And the N relates to this, which is your network. Who do you know that may be able to give you some insights into this person? Maybe there's someone that was going to make the introduction to this person anyway, in which case they might have some information that could be useful. So really use your network to help paint this picture and try to feel as confident as possible when you're tailoring your pitch and then when you're going in to deliver it as well. Finally, and this links to our final section that we're going to come on to shortly, aim to anticipate their questions. If you've found that you're getting a lot of the same question from the same types of people, investors, for example, you might want to weave that into your pitch so that you don't then get that question again, but you could actually call it out during your pitch as well. And I call this the elephant in the room. So I know what you're thinking, why don't we go down this route? Or you might be thinking A, B, and C. Let me tell you why we're doing it this way. Or let me give you some insight into why this is the case. So you could anticipate their questions. It helps to not only put them at ease, but it builds your credibility by thinking, actually, yeah, that was what I was thinking, or that would have been a question of mine. And then, of course, it's anticipating questions that may come after your pitch and putting those into practice as well, which brings us nicely onto that next section that we're going to be focusing on next. This has all been about tailoring your pitch, quick tips, quick insights into areas that you can make a little bit more bespoke for the person you're pitching to without having to redo your whole pitch for each meeting and for each delivery situation that you're in. I'm looking forward to seeing you for the final part of this online course, Polishing Your Pitch. I'll see you there.